Hi guys, just in case anyone needs a little extra support, I'm making this video. Although honestly, I've never had to before, but that's fine. Um, so let's see. The one thing, you already did the camera. 3-point lighting, look at the stuff. Like 3-point lighting is like literally making lights in 3-point. Please look and read the courseware for that, because that's not something I'm getting into. I do have 3 lights though. So 3-point lighting is basically 3 lights. If you need it kind of simplified in a sense, it's 3 lights, okay? The lights I used here, just real quick, just in case you're like, holy crap, completely lost, I just used a target spotlight, which has a light and it's got a target, the little squares of the target, and that's where the light faces, okay? But that's as far as I'm getting into the lights. I make sure that my camera's not in perspective. There's perspective, which is not my camera twirling around. I make sure I'm in the actual camera that I'm supposed to be in. Everything's animated, and again, this was from last module, so all you had to do this week was add some lights and then do a render. So first things first is you should always do a test render as you're doing your lighting, which is clicking this teapot button looking thing there. Whoops, let me pause that real quick. No, I didn't want it. I already set it to render and animation, so it was just going and rendering animation. Now some people get like complete black nothing. Mine is actually rendering a sequence, so there is a render there. Some of you just have to go in here and say, hey, could you render scan line? And then it does this where it creates some stuff for you, and you're like, yeah, load it. And then when you hit render, it does the render, as you can see there. I'm gonna pause that, cancel it. So I already set my render settings to sequence, so you're probably gonna get like a single render. Whereas I got, clearly, I got a whole bunch of them. So to get the sequence going, it's really easy. There's a teapot with a gear on it. You click on that and it opens the renderer. I'm not going to do an Arnold render here. I'm going to stick to the scan line because that's going to be the easiest thing, and it's going to be something that most computers can handle. So I'm going to go from top to bottom. So I'm going to say, oh, production rendering mode, check. I'm going to go to the next thing, scanline renderer, check. If you guys want to mess with Arnold, feel free. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but you feel free to do that. I'm going to click on here, make sure I have the correct camera turned on. By the way, if you don't have the camera selected, it doesn't show up as a choice. So if you don't see your camera, it's because you don't have your camera on. So yeah, computer is not that smart, y'all. And then, how many do you want? Do I want active time segment? So active time segment will just be like, you seem to have 100 frames. So I'm going to give you 100 frames. You can also type in a range if you want, like, oh geez, I only want like 90 frames. You type it in yourself. So either active or a range, or you can type in like from here to here in frames. Area to render is view. It's always view. Almost always it's view. Output size is just how big do you want them. I'm going to stick to 640 by 480, even though that's not like standard size. Standard size is HD video TV. That's like usually the standard size, but some people's computers can't really handle that. So, but 1920 by 1080 is the standard size of rendering for everything right now. And 4K, but not everyone's computer can handle that. So I'm going to just keep rolling down. So I roll down. And then last but not least, you click on the word files. And this is actually really freaking important. This is where it's going. So usually there's a folder called render output. That's usually where all the pictures go. Because I'll get a lot of students, you guys do the render and then you have no idea where the heck your renders went. Then you're going to save the file type. I like to do target sequences. That's just how I roll. Some people like to do JPEG sequence, what have you. What you're not doing is a QuickTime movie or an AVI. You're not doing a movie file. This is a sequence. So that is how we roll with computer animation, especially for film. We do not work in movie files. We work in frames. Okay, and then we take that sequence of frames and we put it into After Effects in case we need to do any color correction and all that fun stuff. So you are not exporting this as a movie. So for this assignment, you absolutely irrecoverably have to have a sequence of images. So if you have a sequence of 100, you're going to have a zipped folder with 100 images in it. So I'm going to go ahead and do, oh, and EXR is a great one too, but they're huge files. That's actually what I use professionally. but they're enormous freaking files. So yeah, don't do that to yourself, because I'm not lying, like they're freaking huge. So I'm just gonna click on, I'm gonna do a target sequence, give it a name it whatever you want. So just, you have to note where it is. There's not gonna be like a thing that reminds you of where things are. Okay, so just FYI, you have to say, oh, I want you to put this all in downloads, or I need to, whatever. But that's not going to tell you later. So like, take a picture of it or make a note, write it down, whatever. Just make sure you know where it is, because asking me later is not going to help. That's like asking me where you parked your car. No idea where you parked your car. So name it whatever you want. Do, render stills, whatever the heck. And then hit save, and then click on render. And then it renders one by one, and you can see them just go. As it's rendering, do me a favor, pay attention and make sure it's actually moving, like it's actually rotating. So I have a plane on my floor, so I could see clearly that there is some rotation, because that pointy edge of the plane is actually moving. And I'm saying that because yes, there have been students that thought it was rendering, and then they uploaded their folder and it was like the same picture 100 times. Let it go all the way through, and then obviously, you're gonna go into your folder. You're going to grab all your renders. You can actually even just grab that folder, render output, and go ahead and send to zipped, and then upload that, and that's all she wrote.